DJ Valtierra. A lot of people call me Two Braids. I am a Native American. I'm Red Lake Ojibwe from Minnesota. Although I'm a city Indian, I grew up in the city, St. Paul and Minneapolis. God really intervened in my life in many ways. I always knew about God. I always knew the stories about Jesus, but I never really believed in him myself. And I always wondered why God was real. How God was real. I wondered if God was real, why did he allow so many terrible things to happen? And so really what happened was I was deceived. I believe that every person is deceived. Satan, the devil, the enemy of our soul, he tries to plant seeds of deception in our life, and then he tries to water that through demonic oppression and influence in the world. And my seed at an early age was my parents didn't love me because they were too busy as ministers to Native people. And so Satan really preyed on that and used that to deceive me and put a wedge in between me and my parents. I resented God growing up in a neighborhood, and then all my siblings were gang members. So I had two worlds vying for my attention. I had God's kingdom, and then I had the kingdom of darkness in the form of money, power, sex, drugs, gangs, crime. And so at the age of 13, I began smoking weed like a lot of kids do. I didn't plan to be an addict. I didn't plan to spiral downwards and get into crime and all these things, but that's just what happened. I needed a way to support my habit, and nobody was going to pay me to smoke weed. So, I started committing crimes, robbing houses, selling drugs, joined a gang. Fast forward, some years, I get into all this trouble, and then I go away and I'm locked up for 9 months, and all these things happen. And so that was one of the main things that really sent me into depression. My big brother, who was finally in my life, then was taken from me again, and now he's doing life in prison. The second big thing that happened was a year later, one of my best friends was murdered when I was 18 years old. And this was someone I was with all the time. I just happened to not be with him that day. And in that moment, it was like I heard a voice tell me, "Son, I spared your life for a reason." And so I knew God was calling me, but I hated him. I hated God. I hated church. I hated Christians. I always hated and resented the fact that Christians seem to have joy and peace and happiness. And I wanted that, and I resented that every time I went to church, they had that. And so fast forward, I'm a young man, and I'm really downhill. I'm doing drugs. I'm selling drugs. At this point, it's alcohol every day. It's hard drugs, ecstasy, cocaine. And I'm just downward spiraling. And so basically what happens is I'm at the YMCA playing basketball, which I've loved to do my whole life. I start having a heart episode. I think I'm having a heart attack. Basically what happened was I had developed a heart condition. I didn't know this, but my heart was just racing. It wouldn't stop. It was uncontrollable. I thought I was dying. And I literally said to myself, if I die, I'm going to go to hell. I know Jesus died for my sins. I've rejected him my whole life. Not only that, I'm not a good person. If I die, I'm going to hell. So that thought haunted me for months. I couldn't sleep at night. I would literally stay up until my body passed out because I was afraid of dying and going to hell. Fast forward, I'm 21 years old. We have a week binge of partying because I'm 21. I pass out on a couch. I have an out-of-body experience. I don't know if it was reality or if it was just an out-of-body spiritual experience. My soul came out of my body. I looked down at my physical body, and I heard God say, "Son, you've wasted your entire life. I don't create people for this reason, to destroy their lives." And then my soul went back in my body. I woke up, and the next day I'm at a hotel again partying with about 7-8 people. I look around the room and I say, is this all life has to offer us? Is this it? The next party, the next high, the next drug, the next girl we can sleep with, the next lick we can hit. Is this it? And at that point, they thought I was crazy, thought I just had too much to drink. I just did too much drugs. I was tripping. And they said, well, what you gonna do about it? And I said, you know what? I'm gonna kneel down right here and pray and give my life to Jesus. At which point they ridiculed me, they laughed, until I got on my knees and I prayed in front of them and I said, Jesus, if you're real, come into my life and save me, which he did. And then it was like electricity shot through my body. I can't explain it, but I just knew the power of God hit me and I was never the same. And the next day, my friends tried to come over again and party, and I said, this is just not me. I can't live this life no more. And they said, well, what are you going to do? I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go to church. Do you guys want to come? And they was shook. They like, what? This dude is crazy. Nah, we're good, bro. I'm like, all right, well. And ever since then, man, I went on. I became sober. I went to North Central University. I got my bachelor's degree in youth ministry and biblical studies. I've traveled all around America. I've been to almost every state sharing my story through my music, through testimony, through preaching. I've been to over 60 reservations sharing my story. I met my wife while I was doing traveling ministry. We've been married since 2012. I have 2 kids. God has blessed me in ways that it's just crazy. Some days I wake up and I think, man, God really, really blessed me. And it's all because I gave my life to him. And he doesn't show favoritism. Whatever he can do for me, he can do for you. So I would encourage you, try Jesus, give him a chance. He's just a breath away. If you call upon his name, and if you truly seek him out, he will be found. And anything he's done for me, he can do for you. And so that's my message to y'all, man. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. If God is on a mountaintop, the world will tell us no matter which way we want to choose, all roads lead to the top of the mountain. Any religion, any worldview, any spirituality. But the difference between every other God and Jesus is the only one who left the mountaintop. He came and became human, lived a sinless life, died on a cross, and rose again 3 days later. And he beat sin, death, and the grave so that we could have a new life. God bless y'all.